Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. We are going to discuss the cybercrime in the society, problem and prevention. This is very tough and complex cybercrime, because identifying of cybercrime is very difficult. So society uh, is very in the problematic status. So let's start of the cybercrime, society's problem and prevention in our legal system. At first, we are going to the discussion on the introductory part of this crime and criminality. Crime and criminality have been associated with man since his fall. Crime remains elusive and ever strives to hide itself in the face of development. Different nations have adopted different strategies to contend with crime depending on their nature and extent. One thing is certain, it is that a nation with high incidence of crime cannot grow and develop. That's so because crime is the direct opposite of development. It leaves a negative social and economic consequence. It's clear. Cybercrime is defined as crime committed on the internet using the computer as either a tool or a targeted victim. It is very difficult to classify cybercrime in general into distinct groups, as many crime evolves on a daily basis. Even in the real world, crime like rape, murder, or theft need not necessarily be separate. However, while cybercrime involves both the computer and the person and the government and the property and their body, like that the cyberbullying, cyber threatening, etc., behind it as victim. It just depends on which of the two is the main target. Hence, the computer will be looked at as either a target or tool for simplicity's sake. For example, hacking involves attacking the computer's information and other resources, other documents, your valuable documents, etc. It's important to take note that overlapping occurs in many cases, and it is impossible to have a perfect classification system. So here we are going to discuss like that the so viewers, we are going to discuss the cybercrime and cyber criminality. The term cybercrime is a misnomer. This term has nowhere been defined in any statute, any act, any ordinances, any laws, any regulation passed or enacted by the Bangladeshi Parliament or and the Indian Parliament or UK Parliament, US Parliament or Japan Parliament. So nowhere there are some no definition given here. The concept, only concept developed on the cybercrime. So the concept of cybercrime is not radically different from the concept of conventional crime. Both are include conduct, whether act or omission, actus rea or mens rea, which causes breach of rules of law or counterbalanced by the sanction of the state. Before evaluating the concept of cybercrime, it is obviously said that the concept of conventional crime can be discussed and the point of similarity and difference between both a conventional crime or a cybercrime. This form may be discussed. So let's go, the viewers. A computer as a tool. At first, we may discuss. No, it is necessary to discuss the computer as a tool. How is it considered as a tool? When the individual is the main target of cybercrime, the computer can be considered as the tool rather than the target. These crimes generally involve less technical expertise as the damage done manifests itself in the real world. Human weaknesses are generally exploited. The damage dealt is largely psychological and intangible, making legal action against the variant more and more difficult. These are the crimes which have existed for centuries in the offline: scam, theft, fraud, etc. Forgery that is already existed for the over the centuries in the perspective of the conventional crime. And the likes have existed, the similar crimes have existed even before the development of the high technology equipment, that is called the high tech equipment. The same criminal has simply been given a tool which increases his potential pool of victim only pressing the button of internet, computer keyboard or mobile button or the tab, and makes him all the harder to trace and apprehend. So, in this process, computer will be the tool of the computer crime or cybercrime. So now there are another part of the computer cybercrime, that is the computer can be the target. These crimes, that is the cybercrime, are committed by a selected group of criminals. Unlike crimes using the computer as a tool, this crime requires the technical knowledge of the perpetrator. These crimes are relatively new, having been in existence for the only as long as computer have, which explains how unprepared the society and the world in general is towards combating this crime. There are numerous crimes of this nature committed daily on the internet, but it is worth knowing that Africans and indeed some Nigerians are yet to develop their technical knowledge to accommodate and perpetrate this kind of crime. So, in this process, in this way, computer can be the target of the cybercrime, like that the hacking, like the unauthorized access, etc. So now, let's go to the conventional crime. What is the conventional crime? Crime is a social and economic phenomena and is as old as the human society. Crime is a legal concept and has the sanction of the law. Crime or an offense is a legal wrong, can be defined a legal wrong or can be followed by criminal proceedings which may result into punishment. The hallmark of criminality is that it is a breach of the criminal law. Lord Atkin said that the conventional crime and criminality, regarding the criminality and conventional crime, the criminal quality of an act cannot be discovered by reference to any standard, but on is the act prohibited with penal consequence. Lord Atkin's words is very important in the explanation of the conventional crime. A crime may be said to be any conduct accompanied by act or omission, actus rea, or omission prohibited by law and consequential breach or violation or infringement of which is visited by penal consequence. So now, already discussed the conventional crime, so let's go. What's the nature of the cybercrime? Cybercrime is the latest and perhaps the most complicated problem in the cyber world or cyberspace. Cybercrime may be said to be those species of which genus is the conventional crime, where either the computer is the object or internet is the object or subject of the conduct constituting the cybercrime. Any criminal activity that uses a computer either as an instrumentally target or as means of perpetrating further crimes comes within the ambit of cybercrime. That is called the cybercrime. So, we are going to discuss the general definition of cybercrime. What is the general definition of cybercrime? A generalized definition of cybercrime may be said that an unlawful or the unlawful act wherein the computer is either a tool or target or both. The computer may be used as a tool in the for there are some perspective for some kinds or categories of activities like the financial crime, sale of illegal articles, pornography, online gambling, intellectual property crime, email spoofing, email bombing, forgery, cyberbullying, cyber stalking, cyber defamation, etc., or cyber threatening, etc., or hacking, like that. The computer may, however, be target for unlawful act in the some cases, like that the unauthorized access to computer, hacking computer system or computer network. Unauthorized access can be happen into the computer system or computer network, like that the hacking, theft of information often in electronic form, like that the email bombing, data diddling, salami attack, logic bomb, Trojan attack, internet time theft, webjacking, theft of computer system, physically damaging the computer system. There are a lot of crime, cybercrime developing. Now developing, that is the growing process, like that conventional crime. So let's start of the discussion on the distinction between conventional and cybercrime. What are the main distinction between conventional and cybercrime? There is apparently no distinction between cyber and conventional crime because there is a very popular maxim used here. There are some old new wine that is kept in old bottle. So, however, on a deep introspection, we may say that there exists a fine line of demarcation between the conventional and cybercrime, which is appreciable. The demarcation lies in the involvement of the medium in crime of cybercrime, cases of cybercrime. The sine qua non, that is the sine qua non, is very growing, very adaptable maxim in case of the cybercrime. So sine qua non for cybercrime is that there should be an involvement at any stage of the virtual cyber medium. So that is the only a small distinction between the conventional and cybercrime. So now we are going to discuss the reason for cybercrime. What are the main reason of committing the cybercrime? The concept of law has said human beings are vulnerable, so rule of law is required to protect them. Applying these to the cyberspace, we may say that computers are vulnerable, so rules of law is required to protect and safeguard against cyber society or cybercrime. There are some reasons for the vulnerability of computers. May be said that at first the capacity to store data in comparatively a small space. We can explain the capacity to store data in comparatively a small space. That is, the computer has unique characteristics of storing data in very small space. A library can be stored in a pen drive, a 64 gigabyte pen drive or a hard disk. This effort to remove or drive information either through physical or virtual medium makes it much easier. Second region of cybercrime is easy to access. Easy to access. The problem encountered is guarding a computer system from unauthorized access is that there is every possibility of breach not due to human error but due to complexity or complex technology. By secretly implanted logic bomb keyloggers that can still access cookies or codes, that the data code, advanced voice recorder, retina imagers, etc. that can fool biometric system. Bypass firewall can be utilized to get past many a security system. Another third region of cybercrime, that is the complexity. The computer work an operating system, and these operating system in turn are composed of millions of codes. That is called the software. Human mind is fallible, and it is not possible that there might not be a lapse at any state. The cyber criminals take advantage of these lacunas and penetrate into the computer system. There are another reasons of cybercrime, that is the negligence. Negligence is very closely connected with human conduct. All are negligent. We are all are negligent. Human beings are negligent in all time. It is therefore very probable that while protecting the computer system, their computer network, there might be any negligence, which in turn provides a cyber criminal to gain access and control over your computer system or computer network. Then another reason of cybercrime is that the last reason of cybercrime, that is we remember the last reason of cybercrime is loss of evidence. Loss of evidence is very common and obvious problem as all the data are routinely destroyed. Further collection of data outside the territorial extent also paralyzes the system of criminal investigation. So then the next next section of our discussion of our lecture series is the who are the cyber criminals. Who are the cyber criminals? The first categories of cyber criminal. Who may be the cyber criminals? The cyber criminal constitute a various group or categories. This division may be justified on the basis of the object that they have in their mind. There are some categories of cybercrime. First category is children and adolescents between the age group of 6 to 18 years. A simple reason for this type of delinquent behavior pattern in child is seen mostly due to inquisitiveness to know and explore something. Other cognate region, other original region may be to prove themselves to be outstanding among other children in their group. Further, the reasons may be psychological even. That is said that there are a lot of cases in the Delhi cases, Balvaruti case. There are another American case was the most example or outcome of harassment of the delinquent by his friend. Like that, the cyberbullying is very much popular in that age, 6 to 18 years. Then another group is organized hacker. This kind of hackers are mostly organized together to fulfill certain objectives. These reasons may be fulfilled to fulfill their political bias, fundamentalism, or financial gaining, etc. Like that, the Pakistanis are said to be the one of the best quality hacker in the world, or Chinese are another quality of our South African or North Korean organized group or Nigerian organized group are the best quality hackers in the world. They are Russian, also Indian. There are some Bangladeshi organized group. There are a lot of website. They are already hacked in previous year. They mainly target the Pakistani group target the Indian government side. Bangladeshi organized group sometimes mainly target to the Indian or Pakistani government side. In case of the cricket or cricket playing time, like that, they also in the vice versa, Indian organized hacker group target the Bangladesh government with the purpose to fulfill their political objective or the cricket politics. Further, the NASA as well as the Microsoft side is always under attack by the hackers. Then another group is the professional hackers or crackers. Their work is motivated by the color of money. This kind of hacker are mostly employed to hack the side of the rivals and get credible, reliable, and valuable information. Further, they are employed to crack the system of the employer basically as a measure to make it safer by detecting the loopholes or gaps. Then another group of cyber criminals, that is the discontented employees. This group includes those people who have been either sacked by their employer or are dissatisfied with their employer. To avenge, they normally hack the system of their employee. So there are another section of this session of this lecture series, mode and manner of committing cybercrime. So let's go. What are the modes and manner of committing cybercrime? At first, the unauthorized access to computer system and networks, that is called the hacking. This kind of offense is normally referred as hacking in the generic sense, but there are some difference between the unauthorized access to computer system and networks and hacking. However, the framers of the ICT Act of Bangladesh 2006, there are there is some term used unauthorized access, but there is nowhere used the term. So avoid any confusion. We would not interchangeably use the word hacking for unauthorized access. That is the in wider connotation. Unauthorized access is used for the getting the punishment, given the punishment under section 54, and the hacking for the committing of hacking, the punishment is given under section 56. Okay, then the another crime, another mode for manner of committing cybercrime, theft of information content in electronic form. This includes information stored in computer hard disks, removable storage media, etc. Theft may be either by appropriating the data physically or by tampering them through virtual medium. Email bombing, another mode of cybercrime. This kind of activity referred to sending large number of mail to the victim, which may be an individual or a company or even mail server, thereby ultimately resulting into crashing the system. Another mode or method is data diddling. This kind of attack involves altering raw data just before a computer process is, then changing it back after the processing is completed. The electricity board faced similar problem in India of data diddling while the department was being computerized. Then salami attack, another mode and method of cybercrime. This kind of crime, that is a salami attack, is normally prevalent in the financial institution or for the purpose of committing financial crime. An important feature of this type of offense is that the alteration is so small and that it would normally go unnoticed. We can know a case that is a Ziegler case, wherein a logic bomb was introduced in the bank system, which deducted 10 cents from every account and deposited it in a particular account. Then DDoS, but or DOS, denial of service attack. The computer victim is flooded with more requests than it can handle, which cause it to crash. Distributive denial of service (DDoS) attack is also a type of denial of service attack, in which the offenders are wide in number and widespread, like Amazon, Yahoo. Then another mode or method of cybercrime is virus or worm attack. Virus and worm is totally different, but they are a similar nature. Viruses are programs that attach themselves to a computer or a file and then circulate themselves to other file and to other computer on a network. They usually affect the data on a computer either by altering or deleting it. But on the other hand, unlike said that worms virus do not need the host to attach themselves to. They merely make functional copies of themselves and do this repeatedly till they eat up all the available space on the computer memory. We know the name of virus, love bug virus, who is affected at least 5% of the computer in the world. The losses were accounted to be $10 million. The world most famous worm was the internet worm let loose on the internet by Robert Morris sometimes in 1988. Robert Morris is now in jail. Is in jail. Almost brought development of the internet to complete halt. Another mode and method of cybercrime is the logic bomb. They are even these are even dependent program. This implies that this program are created to do something only when a certain event known as the trigger event occurs. That is another case of the logic bomb, that is the Kamini Dasura case, that is the in a case of logic bomb. Even some viruses may be termed logic bomb because they lie dormant all through the year and become active only on a particular date, like that the Chernobyl virus. We know the name of the Chernobyl virus. Another crime, method of crime of cybercrime is that is the Trojan attack. This term has its origin in the word Trojan horse. In software field, this means an unauthorized program which passively gains control over another system by representing itself as an unauthorized program. The most common form of installing a Trojan is through email. A Trojan was installed in the computer of a lady film director in the US while chatting. The cyber criminal through the webcam installed in the computer obtained her nude or naked photograph. He further harassed this lady. That is the most example case in case of the Trojan attack. Internet time theft. Normally, in this kind of theft, the internet surfing hours of the victim are used up by another person. This is done by gaining access to the login ID and password. There is a most probably a Colonel Bajua case. The internet hours are used up by any other person, like that the Gramophone, Banglalink, or any other ISP server service provides the internet time, but there is no surfing hours in our hand. It is most probable there are another problematic system of internet time theft. This was perhaps one of the first reported case related to cybercrime in India, that is the Colonel Bajwa case. However, this case made the police infamous as to their lack of understanding of the nature of cybercrime. It is very ridiculous crime. Okay, now the another type of crime, webjacking. This term is derived from the term hijacking. In this kind of offense, the hacker gains access and control over the website of another. He may even mutilate and change the information on the site. This may be done for fulfilling political biasness, political objective, or for money. Recently, the site MIT Ministry of Information Technology of India was hacked by the Pakistani hackers, and some obscene matter was placed therein. Further, the site of Mumbai Crime Branch was also abject. Another case of objecting is that of the goldfish case. Is very famous case in the case of the perspective of the objecting. In this case, the goldfish case, the site was hacked and the information pertaining to goldfish was changed. Further, a ransom of US $1 million was demanded as ransom. Thus, hijacking is a process where by control over the site of another is made backed by some consideration of it. Like that, the ransomware is the newly introduced example of hijacking we know. There are another thing of the classification of cybercrime. Now let's go the classification of cybercrime. This subject of cybercrime may be broadly classified under against individual, including their person and their property of the individual, against organization, including government, firm, company, group of individuals, against society at large, against society including the harassment via emails, cyber stalking, dissemination of obscene material, defamation, unauthorized control or unauthorized access of the over the computer system, computer network, or computer servers, indecent exposure, email spoofing, email bombing, cheating or frauding, etc. Against individual property is another part, like the computer vandalism, transmitting virus, unauthorized control or access over the computer system, computer network, intellectual property crimes, internet time theft. Or another categories of against that was committed against organization, unauthorized control or access over the computer system, possession of unauthorized information, cyber terrorism against the government organization, distribution of pirated software. So it is said that against society at large, another categories of computer crime against society at large. Pornography, basically, uh, pornography, like that the child pornography or the women pornography, polluting the youth group through the indecent exposure, trafficking, financial crime, sales of illegal articles, online gambling, or the forgery. There are some crime can be discussed in briefly, like that the harassment, uh, harassment, harassment via emails. Harassment through email is not a new concept. It is very similar to harassing through letters. Recently, I had received a letter of lady wherein she complained about the same. Her former boyfriend was sending her mails constantly, sometimes emotionally blackmailing her and also threatening her. This is a very common type of harassment by email. Cyber stalking. The Oxford Dictionary defines stalking pursuing stealthily. Cyberstalking involves there are some person following a some person movements across the internet by posting messages, sometimes threatening on the bulletin board on the social networking site frequently by the victim, entering the chat room frequently by the victim or the dissemination of obscene material or indecent exposure of pornography, basically polluting through the indecent exposure. Pornography on the net may be take various forms. It may include the hosting of website containing these prohibited materials, use of computer or producing the obscene materials. These obscene materials or matters may cause harm to the mind of the adolescents and tend to deprive or corrupt to their mind. Defamation is very imputing any person with intent to lower person in the estimation of the right thinking member of society. Cyber defamation is not different from conventional defamation except the involvement of the virtual medium like the mail, using the mail, internet or social networking sites. Unauthorized access or access over the computer system or email is spoofing. A email is spoofing may be said by one to be one which misrepresent its origin. It shows its origin to be different from which actually it originated. Recently, spoof mail were sent to the Mr. such person. Like the computer vandalism is vandalism means deliberately destroying or damaging property of another. Intellectual property crime or distributed or pirated software. Intellectual property consists of a bundle of rights. Any unlawful act by which the owner is deprived completely or partially of his right of an offense. Cyber terrorism against the government is very large crime. At this juncture, a necessity may be felt that what is need to the distinguish between cyber terrorism and cyber crime. Cyberterrorism may be defined the premeditated use of disruptive activities or the threat thereof in cyberspace with the intention to further social, ideological, religious, political or similar objective or to intimidate any person in furtherance of such objective. Then trafficking may be happened by the committing the cybercrime, fraud or cheating. Online fraud or cheating is one of the most lucrative business that are going today in the cyberspace. It may assume different form. Some of the cases of online fraud or cheating that have come to light are those pertaining the credit card crime, contractual crime, or offering job. There are recently Nigerian group can be caught by the police officers for the frauding, credit card frauding. There are some what are the statutory provisions? Bangladeshi Parliament considerably is necessary to give effect to the resolution by which General Assembly, United Nations General Assembly adopted model law on electronic commerce adopted by the United Nations Commission on trade law that is called UNCTAD, as a consequence of which the Information Communication Technology Act 2006 was passed and enforced later. The preamble of this act states its objective to legalize e-commerce and further amend the Evidence Act, Penal Code, or Banker Books Evidence Act, or the Bangladesh Bank Order. The basic purpose to incorporate the changes in this act is to make them compatible with the act so that they may regulate and control affairs of the cyber world in an effective manner. So we are going to discuss in the last part of this cyber the prevention of cybercrime. Prevention is always better than cure. It is always better to take certain precaution while operating the net. I should made them his part of cyber life, like that the technical advisor, network security consultant to the different types of governments or advocates, precautions or prevention protection. A netizen should keep in mind in some things like that to prevent cyber stalking, avoid disclosing any information pertaining to oneself. This is as good as disclosing your identity to a stranger in public place. Always avoid sending any photograph online, particularly to a stranger and chat friend, as there have been incidents of misuse of the photograph. Always use latest and update antivirus software to guard against virus attack. Always keep backup volume so that one may not suffer data loss in case of virus contamination. Never send your credit card number to any site that is not secure to guard against fraud. Always keep a watch on the site that your children are accessing to prevent any kind of harassment or deprivation in children. It is better to use a security program that gives control over the cookies and send information back to the site, and as leaving the cookies unguarded might prove fatal. Then the lastly we can conclude with the saying that the capacity of human being is unfathomable. It is not possible to eliminate cybercrime from the crime space. It is quite possible to check them. History is witness and law legislation has succeeded in totally eliminating crime from the globe. The only possible step is to make people aware of their right and duties to report crime as a collective duty towards the society, and further making the application of the law more stringent to check crime. Undoubtedly, the ICT Act is a historical step in the cyber world, and Digital Security Act is another historical world in the cyber world. Further, I altogether don't deny, and there is a need to bring sense in the ICT Act to make it more effective to combat cybercrime. I would conclude with a word of caution for the poor legislation is cool and it should be kept in mind, and the provision of the cybercrime are not made so stringent or harder that it may retard the growth of the industry and prove to be counterproductive. Thank you for your passion, and next time there are another lecture we will provide to you. Okay, thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like and share. Bye bye.